It's good to be with you on this Monday, starting a new week, and we're so thankful for the Lord's blessing. And it's so interesting. It was 2 years ago that we began to have this series, and little did I know then that we would be facing the things that we're facing 2 years later. But yet, God is using this, I believe, in our lives to awaken us, to help us understand the spiritual battle, and to keep us from apathy and lethargy, which has been a real problem among American churches. Now, I'm afraid some have slipped back into it, but I think things are going to get really interesting again, and I trust that we will respond properly. And one of the keys to that is to be in a church where God's power is very clearly seen and evidenced because people are endeavoring to serve the Lord. And that was what the church at Antioch had. When Barnabas came to see it, we find there in Acts chapter 11, he saw the grace of God. He saw the working of the Lord. He was thrilled with what the Lord was doing. And so it shouldn't surprise us that this very church was the one that sent forth Barnabas and Paul on that first missionary journey and had the foresight, they had the discernment, the wisdom to send these men out. And we read in Acts chapter 14 about their return to the church there at Antioch. And I think it's so interesting. Verse 26 says, "And thence sailed to Antioch," speaking of the two of them, "from whence they had been recommended to the grace of God for the work which they fulfilled." Now, there was a real key here for Barnabas and Paul to have the blessing of God, and that was that they came out of a church in which the grace of God was being manifest, and that the leadership understood the grace that they were going to need to be able to accomplish the work that was before them. And it says that they finished the work. I mean, God did a work through them, and we know that. All that happened in Asia Minor was amazing, what God had done. And let me just say that this illustration gives us the importance of the local church, a church that's Bible-believing, that is endeavoring to move forward, where God is working. It changes people's lives. And God's grace becomes evident. You realize God will meet needs. God will transform people. People can be saved. There is just the evidence of the life of Christ all around you. And in this discouraging day, my word of encouragement to you today is to realize that your local church is really important. You need to be there. You need to be part of that church. You need to ask God to use your spiritual gifting. Follow the direction there of how God's leading that church, and you'll be amazed at how you will experience what Paul and Barnabas experienced. They experienced the grace of God, and they saw their work fulfilled because that church was praying. They came out with faith because of the opportunity to be in that church, and God did a mighty work. And so today I just want to encourage you to make sure you're locked in to a Bible-believing, obedient church that believes that God can work, and it will make a difference. Be there as much as you can. Just seeing things on live stream won't do it. You need the gifting of other people. And what an encouragement it is to be around the grace of God.